All right, so with our handsome Mr. B, we're just gonna work a little bit now with sort of that place behavior, like we tried working a little bit when they were both together, he and JoJo. And I'm just ripping up this little sausage snack that you guys packed for him, which is very, or drop it on his head. Ready? Find it. Their bloopers are all included. Ready? Find it. Okay, well, you'll have to search for it later. So we'll do a little bit with our bed. Yes, nice job. So again, if when practicing all together, you have to lower the criteria, perfectly normal and acceptable. As he's practicing either on his own or again, it's her turn or vice versa, make it where again, you start to help generalize some of these skills by including either some littler but more new distractions, change up your duration, maybe work a little bit where if he tends to do his place behavior in a certain zone, maybe you try another section of the house and see if you can build it up there too. But doing too many novel things all at once when the behavior is still very new to them could be too challenging. So you'll just have to gauge, see how well he's doing. Ready, bed? Nice down. Don't mind me with my inability to talk today. So I'm going to tell him to stay. So when practicing, again, we're going to see how we can rock a little bit with being stationary. Unlike that wait that we did a little bit earlier where he is getting called to you, this is where he has to hold his place behavior, be it sit or down in a certain bubble. It doesn't have to be a dog bed, so a stay behavior can happen anywhere, but for a lot of babes, it can be beneficial to have a visual spot to go hone in on. So right now, as I'm adding a little bit of movement, I am reinforcing him for being stationary, not for moving. So unlike the wait behavior, where when we reinforce the pup, it's for coming towards us or for breaking, it's movement that's being reinforced. With the stay, he's again being fed for being stuck. So I always like to think about, again, freeze tag with room service, but then I throw in more difficulty as the baby is showing signs that they're understanding the concept and doing well. So if your puppy is feeling comfortable, that means that their ability to rock that skill is happening. If you're finding that their inability to do something is not them trying to be, again, a bad listener, or they don't, again, want to pay attention, a lot of times either there's something going on for the puppy where they don't understand the concept, they're maybe too tired, they could be sore, maybe there's a growth spurt or teething moment. So a lot of times when you're dealing with a puppy that's unable to perform, you want to rule out some of those things. If it's also one of those situations where maybe your puppy is due for a nap, remember puppies and teens will still need between 18 to 20 hours of sleep a day in a 24-hour period. For adult dogs to seniors, it's typically around 16. Some do prefer more, but I would recommend to make sure have their needs been met, but also have their sleep also been met for the amount they might require. Because for a lot of the babes, they're not as functional if they're overtired. And that's where you run into more of the land shark behaviors too, where they get overstimulated, overwhelmed, and become a little bit more wild. So chew them, sir. Oh my goodness. Chewing is so hard. He's doing a real nice job though with some of the movement around him. Nice. Smart boy. It's like, maybe I need to get comfortable, and that's allowed. So I don't mind if the babes do some adjusting, perfectly fine. If he were to get up, he's not going to be in trouble, but maybe I'd have to start the behavior all over again. So right here, let's say I want to end my stay. He's been doing a really nice job placing and holding his down stay. I want to go ahead and release him with like an all done or free time, all set, whatever slogan makes sense for you guys for being finished with the game. So I might say all done, give some lovies. I tend to sometimes like wiggle my fingers to try to get the puppy up. Oh, what a smart man. He's like, oh, this is so exhausting. If your puppy gets a little bit stuck or he just says I'm tired and can't get up, right? I'm not going to use my recall, but I'm not going to also feed for getting off the mat or off the stay position. I want him to think the best part of the stay is while we're stuck, not for breaking. So I might go again, Bodie bed. And right here, just for targeting, I'm going to go yes and feed him for that place. If let's say he would do better in a down versus a sit position, pick the one that you think your babe would do best with. So again, we might rock that down. I'm going to go ahead and go yes and feed a little morsel for that down position. And now I'm going to go ahead and tell him to stay. And we're going to try again, excuse me, with a little bit of wiggles and see how he does with me being, again, a visual distraction. The heat just poked on, which is also a little distracting. Nice. So you can either feed directly to your puppy's mouth while they're holding the position. If he finds himself getting excited as you come close and he wants to reach you halfway, I find it can be helpful to sometimes, as opposed to feeding their face, feed between their front legs onto the ground, and then hopefully have it not roll into his armpit, which I guess could happen. He found it. But in between the front feet can sometimes help them keep their position low on the floor or on the ground, so they don't pop up every time you come near. So again, right here on the mat or the cot can be helpful. So I'm going to just add a little bit of distraction, maybe make a little bit of noise. Nice. Yes. And again, you can feed him directly, him or the mat, whichever you find is easier for the handsome guy to hold his position. Yes. What a good job. So if, again, this was really feeling comfortable for your puppy, don't always go harder, harder, harder. I feel like a lot of times as our puppies are doing well, we're like, let's try even more. And then we start to have moments where, because it hasn't been quite as refined as we thought or quite as comfortable for them, they start to not do well. So I would gauge it, how successful is the training and how successful do they look physically when it comes to their body language and comfort range. Nice. So I'm just going to try doing a couple little laps around him or pass-bys. He's doing a really nice job. Oh, he's getting so tired. Nice job. The last time when I went to make some noises, this was a little bit harder for him. So I feel like he's getting more cozy with the weird stuff that we're trying. But remember, your puppy has very little value in these skills. So the only way to create value for your puppy to want to do this, let's say a downstay or to do a recall or loose leash walking, is to reinforce them for their hard efforts. Because again, from their perspective, these have very little to no value to them. So what creates more value is reinforcing them with things they find reinforcing too. So notice how as I went to grab some different things, he was a little bit more intrigued, but he did a great job holding his position. Sometimes you can also jackpot a behavior. So let's say I just think he's doing such a great job. I might go yes and then feed several little morsels for doing that thing. And again, that's going to be a great way to create more great value in either the behavior, the environment, the situation, and even potentially create more of a response to that skill down the road. He says, lady, can we go take a nap now? I know it's almost nap time. So again, the beauties do get to rotate and have little rest periods. So they have some play, they come out for potties, they do a few skills, they do some wrestles, and then they have little breaks, and then they rotate through their video time as well. So let's say maybe we're going to give Mr. B, oh my gosh, chew them, sir. But we're going to give Mr. B a little breather. He's doing a really nice job with his place behavior. So we'll end our lovely stay in just a moment. And then maybe what we'll do is we'll rotate, we'll bring out his sister, we'll work a few more skills with our gorgeous gal, and then give the babes a little break again. Nice job. So I'm going to, again, reinforce for this lovely stay. But let's say, again, I'm going to end it. I want to have my release word, whatever slogan you prefer. We might go all done. I even sometimes add some touching. Some puppies do enjoy some lovely caresses. If you're finding your babe is not a fan of touch or patting of the head, oh my gosh, so exciting. We could, for example, pat his chest or his side and then get him up and wiggling. Ready? Let's go. He's like, my brain has melted into the mat. So I'm going to try and get him up and wiggling. He's like, oh, my friends are talking. If you ever have a moment where he's really stuck on the mat, we don't want to go and work that recall, but I might just try and move around him and see if I can encourage him to come on off. Nice. So for coming off, I'm just going to give him a little bit of lovies, but I'm not going to go ahead and feed him unless I maybe do another little skill like a sit. Oh, so smart. And I could feed him for that. I just want to build up most of the value for your stay, as in when we're stuck, that's when the good stuff happens, not when you leave it. We'll do another little find it. There he goes. We'll give Mr. B a little break. This was really pretty with his stay, with the distractions kind of building for difficulty for him, but he's really doing a very, very stellar job. You want to do one more? We'll do a little find it. Such a brilliant boy.